Hello there. What is the meaning of life? We get up in the morning, we go for work or do our things, and at the end of the day, you could ask yourself, what did I do throughout the day? And as years go by, it's only natural for some of us, if not all of us, to ask, what is the meaning of life itself? And what's the meaning and purpose of all the things that I've been doing? And what is going on in this world? What is going on in my life? Is there any meaning? Is there any purpose for all these experiences I'm having? I've had dreams. Some of them were fulfilled. Some of them were shattered. At the end of the day, is it meaningful? Is life meaningful? There was a man called Solomon. You see him in the Bible. He was a king. He was born in the palace. He was born into riches. David's son, King David's son. He wrote towards the end of his life, meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. And he explains, there's a book called the Book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible. And Solomon explains why he found or how he found life to be meaningless. He tried everything in this world, everything under the sun, everything a rich man could have. He was also brilliant. He was not a rich fool. He was brilliant too. So he had this intellect on one side and a lot of knowledge. On the other hand, he was also very wealthy. But nothing filled his heart. And at the end, he says, here is the conclusion of matter. Remember the Lord, worship God. So anyway, let's look at what he's saying. Meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. And think about who he was. The richest man on the face of the earth during his time. The most brilliant man on the face of the earth during his lifetime, and yet he said everything is meaningless. Contrast that to the words of Jesus. He said, I have come that you may have life, and life to the full, or life in abundance. Jesus, God, as a human being, born in poor circumstances, declared that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and eventually he goes to the cross, he dies, he rises again. His words are very different from the words of Solomon. I have come into this world that you might have life and life in abundance. This life in abundance is not the kind of life that Solomon had. Did he have riches? Absolutely. Did he have knowledge? Absolutely. But he didn't have that abundant life or that fullness of life. And that kind of an abundance is possible only if your life is meaningful. Solomon's life, according to himself, was meaningless because he did not have the most meaningful thing in life, which is God at the center of his life. Oh, you're bringing religion into it. What is the difference between Solomon and Jesus? Of course, Lord. Jesus is the Son of God. He is God in flesh, or God coming down, God who came down as a human being. Apart from that, the way in which they both lived and proclaimed the purpose and meaning of their life is very different. Jesus said, I have come that you may have life. And he gave his life. And everyone who follows him and believes in him and trusts in him will have eternal life, and when you have eternal life, your life will become meaningful. Solomon focused entirely on this life and he declared it's meaningless. Herein lies the difference. If everything ends in the graveyard, let me tell you, it's all meaningless. But if there is something beyond the grave, and if there is an assurance of what is going to happen beyond the grave, which Jesus gives, then it's all meaningful. It's not a lame excuse for being a loser. Okay, I couldn't achieve anything in this life, so I might as well look forward to some pie in the sky. No. Jesus rose again and he's calling us to his life. And it is a simple truth that no matter what we achieve in this life, if it all ends in the graveyard, it's all meaningless. That's what Solomon is teaching us. But Jesus is inviting you today to a life that goes beyond this life. And when you have that assurance of a life that goes beyond this life, whether your dreams are fulfilled in this life or not, whether we have everything that we craved for, which we won't get everything that we crave for, still it's meaningful because we know that at the end of the day, we can look back and say, there's something beyond this life. 2020 saw a lot of lives leaving this world. People with a lot of dreams, people with a lot of potential, just snuffed out. And it's a tragedy. But a child of God, following the words of Jesus, can say, my life is meaningful because my hope is not limited in this fragile world, in this fragile life. Is your life meaningful? Can you say today, my life is meaningful. I have found meaning. If not, come to Jesus. He said, I have come that you might have life and life in abundance. He gives us hope that goes beyond this life. He gives us purpose to live this life. Unlike Solomon, we can say then, I believe in Jesus. I'm a follower of Jesus. And my life is meaningful because Jesus is alive and I shall live with him forever. I invite you to that meaningful life in Jesus Christ. Thank you.